Well, hello there. This is Barry's Best Honey. I'm Mike, and I do bees. Welcome back to Southeast Louisiana. What a glorious day it is. Well, good morning there, folks. It is a glorious day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. It is 71, a little bit on the humid side, but we are getting ready to work some bees. Blueberries are in bloom. Plum tree is blooming, although it yields absolutely no fruit. Pear tree always blooms late. And it's spring. So let's go out today. Let's do some quick inspections. We've done the evaluations on all my colonies. Those are the deep dives. So I went through, took a look, see where everybody's at, understand where the populations are. So what do we got to do today? Just got to do some inspections. Just going to see where the populations have went. We know we got a lot of brood that's going to go, but we should be okay. If I run into something that's got cells, which they could have cells because it's been 7 days, I will probably split it at that point. I'll split it today. If I run into something that has just cups, I'll probably kill the cups and push them for another week. And then we'll do the split then. May not even check any of the weak hives, but we'll see. You know, you get out there, you enjoy getting in them, hey, you might just do that. All right, let's get busy. All right, let's go. We're next door. You look at this bucket and you say, Mike, I thought you didn't feed. I don't. I feed to stimulate, but they polished off so much so fast. This particular colony was very, very big. I put a second deep on it, and they were so big but had very little honey stores left from the winter. There's a little bit of nectar, but when there's no stores whatsoever and they're brooding up, they got to have a little something. So let's see what they've done in the top. I gave them some drawn. I don't remember if I seeded frames up here or not. I might have. And they probably filled it all with nectar and sugar syrup. But there is but one way to find out, and that is open them up. So let's see if they've done anything up here. See, they're loading it up, and there's plenty of pollen up in here. And we just put this frame up here to open up some space for them, because they were, yeah, this is some old pollen actually. That's entombed. It may need to change this frame out, but just wanted them to have somewhere to make room until we can split them. So they loaded this with nectar, and I figured they would. Nectar and sugar syrup. And they're trying to clean and fix these frames I gave them. I didn't give them the best of frames. I just wanted them to have space. So we're going to check the bottom for swarm cells, and then we're going to move on. I do want to see what they're doing up here. Did I seed any? Yeah, I did. I seeded this one up. So this would be a good one to check, see if they got swarm cells on it. No swarm cells. Good deal. This, I did stick a foundation / partly drawn frame in the middle. And just to give them something to work on, since they were going to be fooling with that nectar. And look what she has done. They finished out these cells and loaded them with eggs. Wow. So they're not ready to split, but we're going to make sure they're not ready to swarm as well, and then we're going to move on. You love seeing that. You really do. Well, I do. I don't know about y'all. Oh, I'm not even looking. I'm not even looking for a queen. Did y'all see that? I'm sitting here just throwing this right back in. And as I throw it back in, I look, and look who's there. And that's me just being excited about hopping in the hives real quick. That was stupid, because you know good and well you're on a frame with eggs. There's a good chance you're going to see the queen. So let's pull this next frame, see what they look like. Full of nectar. Let's put her back in. Let's just double check, make sure they're still happy in the bottom. Handy dandy trying out this type of hive tool. I don't need to go through these frames, but we do have to pull the trap in order to do what I like to do. That's why I hate these traps. If I didn't have to use them, I wouldn't, but I'm at the point of catching beetles in them. But here's what I do. I don't need to go through it. I know she's up top, and I know she's laying eggs, and I know this is stuck. But I do like to flip it up, just be sure. Swarming. I didn't think they would be, just because this colony wasn't, like I said, super packed. But I do a little bit of smoke on the bottom, and that way I can see. And then I'll take this burr comb. This drone comb, really, it's not burr comb. Guarantee it's loaded with drone eggs. That's not burr comb, that's drone. And pull it down. So this one's good. They're good for another week easy, if not more, before we split them. I'll leave the feed on them for now. One thing about it is they will backfill to an extent this time of year, but they'll also use a lot of that. So it's not like they're necessarily plugging their nest completely. Didn't see any beetles. Alrighty, that's that. Alright guys, this particular colony, this one I do need to check to make sure we have. This one here was a double. I opened up some of the space on them, but they were packed. Again, if I find something today that needs splitting, I'll split it. If it's too far gone as far as cells, but pull this trap out. I've got in the habit, just pull them out, and that way you don't make the mistake of dumping them. Oh, yeah, you're gonna kill a few bees, but it's not gonna knock the colony off the planet. But it ain't good. This colony here, you see, I'll throw a little smoke to them, and we're gonna look, and there's definitely some queen cups on this, in this colony. I'm gonna check them for eggs, and then I'm gonna smash them and see if we can buy us a week before. And so what I'll do now that I've seen them is just double check in the middle and make sure there's none in the nest up here so that we can prevent swarming for another week. No eggs, but we'll still smash them because that is the preparation. When there's that many, I believe it's definitely preparations. When I see one or two, I don't sweat it so much. But when I see 10, 15 of them like that, I'm getting rid of them. I got to mark today. I can't let this go more than 7. They can build them back up tonight, and I'd be in trouble. So gives me 7 days. Being them next week, that's when I want to split them. I'm actually splitting them in about 6 days, so that'd be good. I can come in here. I'm gonna split this colony half and half. I'll put an excluder in it, get everybody below. The thing equalized the way I want it with brood. We'll break it off. I'll go put a cell in it. We good to go. If it were to have swarm cells in it when I got to it, which it very well could, I would split it with the swarm cells. But either way, it's gonna get split. One thing I could do, since I've let them get this big, since they've grown this big quickly in the spring, I could always just super them up. But it's so late now with not enough nectar flow, and it's reproduction swarm time. They know they want to split. It's what they want to do this time of year, is multiply. Reproductive swarms. So let's look underneath here. Just looking at that top one's not enough. So down below, which is, they normally don't have many down here if they've got enough brood up top, and we don't see any cups on the bottom. I will take the chance and just leave this one alone and not sweat the nest having them in the middle. But the top one, I'll zip through the frames real quick. That's how I do it, folks. It's a one-man show, and I got a day and usually a half to do this. This thing's good and heavy. Shoot, she's got room up here, but mainly I'm going through real quick to check to be sure, look, to be sure that we don't have no hidden swarm cells. Like on some of my cutout combs and old wax foundations, they could have cells in the side. Look, it's full of larvae. They're gonna explode. You know the bottom's full of brood as well. It's gotta be. It's good and heavy. Yeah, they won't have any cells on these because these are good solid plastic foundation. Just looking for her real quick. Woo, look at that. Drones in the bottom. Yeah. Yeah. We beekeeping now, right? Or are they keeping me? That's what I always say. I think they keep us, we don't keep them. Woo. All the wall brood, all the way from one end to the other. These are the frames I worry with. That's why I want to go through. See that edge? They'll put them on those edges in a heartbeat. You'll miss them. I've missed them before. So I see a little cup here. Open that up, nothing in it. There's little gaps like that I've noticed. I'll put them in there. So I always, if I think I'm gonna crush cups, I want to go through and crush them all. But they filled this frame out good. Let's see if there's any on this side. Lancing for the queen, didn't see her. Don't see any here. We're good. This is some brood and drones in here. Of course, they're preparing for multiplication, so they're gonna have drones. I'm saying this out loud, kind of to you guys, but also to me. I say that stuff out loud so I know what I'm talking about to myself. So I can figure out where I'm at. All right, we're done with this one. All right, on to the next. Ooh, look at the beetles. All right, Earl. I don't know, Earl. This thing is loaded with them. I'm gonna have to put some more peppermints in there, but I don't know. They're not going in the trap too well, but they're getting there. It's just, they're not gonna swarm. I'm not worried about that. Let's just see where they're at. That's loaded up still. Looking pretty good. Sometimes they stay narrow like this, and they move up and stay narrow, and then they swarm. They never fill outward. Singles, you let them go on out, but this double was already a double coming out of winter, so sometimes they'll do that even when I reverse them. So I gotta be careful with that sometimes. So that's why I still check. But I don't see anything that looks alarming in this one. We might split this one later. Yeah, it looks fine on the bottom, guys. All right, it's calmed down some. Man, they got a little unlikable just then. I'm gonna try the peppermint again. It's been in a couple times now, and it was loaded with beetles. We're gonna sure give it a shot though. I'll try anything that might work. All right, you get the idea. Let's move on. So here's one. Craig, I used your trick, except I took an old 2-frame lid that I had, flipped it over, and put a jar on it. This is a itty bitty little colony. It's only like 3 or 4 frames, so they needed feed. And then this nuke was the same way. So. But I thought that was cool, Craig. It kind of gave me that idea from what you did with the boards, and it worked out good. I put a brick there, and shoot, that thing was perfect. Perfect. Thank you, Craig. This is the one where I lost the queen. So let's look at that one, because the rest of the stuff I'm gonna do exactly what I've been doing, zipping through the tops and bottoms and checking all these colonies to make sure there's nobody that's swarm ready that we can buy another week from. That's all we're looking for, is a week, folks. That's all, just a week. Give me a week and we'll split them. So let's see if they've done anything for making a new queen. I was really sick about what happened. I didn't have it on video, but basically I went over to get a queen clip. She was on the frame. I watched her, eyeballed her all the way over, and for whatever reason she dove off right as I was getting back to the stand. I hunted all over the ground. I checked everywhere and could not find her. Beautiful queen. Lots of beetles. Look at that. All right. Yeah, they're still queenless. You can hear them. So I'm gonna end up combining this one with the one right next door that's weak. So this one and this one will go together. That'll give them a boost. Unfortunately, it's gonna give them a lot of beetles. That's a shame too. This is a good colony. It's just crazy what happened with her. She just, I don't understand where she went. I didn't shake the frame or anything, and off she went. It was one of those deals where you're like, darn, I was sick about it. Yeah, this thing is buzzing and booming. It wasn't super strong, but she was laying in a good pattern. That's what made me sick about it. Here's our pollen frame. It was a narrow nest. Well, they've got a cell, but it didn't finish out. They had plenty of eggs. There's no reason they shouldn't have made an emergency cell. I did not see an emergency cell in there at all 3 days later. So it was odd that they didn't make a new one. So I thought, well, maybe she's still in here. Came back during the other assessment and just kind of checked, and she wasn't there. And they were roaring like this. See, they got leftover brood. Those are swarm cells, guys. But that is awful, awful, unpopulated to want to swarm. That is an odd situation. They had no cells whatsoever. She's here then. Maybe she didn't jump off. Let's look for her. But the issue is it got swarm cells on a colony that's tiny. They were tiny last week and they're still tiny. She's a very easy queen to spot too. She's very caramel colored if I remember her right. And that's something. I'm gonna leave them alone. I'm not even gonna mess with them. Let's see what we got. I still got a loud roar to them, which is crazy. There's more cells. This is a baffling one here. Huh. Bunch of empty cups. You saw the cells as well as I did. And the fact that they're swarming and being so small is quite unusual. They haven't even built up all the way. That's unusual. But I've seen no eggs whatsoever. So the thing to do with this one is just really leave it alone and see what those queen cells do. Swarm cells are made and laid into, and last week there weren't cups. Yet now there's fully developed cells, and we supposedly went queenless. Yet to be eggs in this thing. I'm stumped. That's a first for me. Polished cells with no eggs whatsoever in the entire colony. No eggs for the last week, yet I got swarm cells on a tiny colony. Got to be some sort of eggs that were turned into, I don't know. Beats me. Swarm cells are planned, she lays in them. Supersedures are planned, she lays eggs in them. Emergency cells are existing eggs. Those are all on the bottom and nice and long. You couldn't have, they wouldn't have used drone eggs to make those cells. So, and they're on the bottom where the drones were. So it's a baffling situation. I'm stumped. Nothing in these cups that are around. Just a very unusual situation. They have calmed down and they're quiet. But bees that have queen cells will be that way too, even though they don't have a queen, because they know they're not hopelessly queenless, it seems like, in my experience, I guess. If I saw a queen, then I'd say, well, I just missed her. But no queen and no eggs, yet I got cells. They weren't, when I saw them, they weren't even close. There were no cells, zero. They weren't even close to being, like, they weren't packed or anything. Matter of fact, I was noticing that they were kind of, I was thinking they were more on the weak side. All right, so we're gonna leave these alone. We're gonna let them develop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 of them with one capped. I'm gonna let them develop and see what happens. If they swarm, they're doomed. The ones behind are doomed. They'll have to go on a nuke. So I'm gonna come back and check this one in a few days and see what they've done. They don't have near enough. I mean, it'd be a small swarm if it goes. Very unusual for spring. Very unusual, folks. Very unusual. I mean, I'm looking where these cells were. So they were in drone brood. Am I wrong? Can drones be? See, look, that's a cell built down off of drones. I mean, I guess I would have expected them to make emergency cells off of the existing eggs that were in. There were plenty of eggs in here. She was laying up a storm, and there was like 4 frames of brood, and that was it. There was space on either side. Not that many bees. So for whatever reason, these have got to be some sort of emergency cell where she had some eggs, or maybe they could convert them, or maybe they were fertilized eggs in the big drone. That doesn't make sense though. I don't know. They're definitely queenless. There's not an egg to be found anywhere. Completely empty, ready to be laid in, and not a queen or egg anywhere to be found. So it definitely lost her, and they're definitely making cells off of those bottom cells, and I would think those were drones, but I guess they weren't. I don't know. Well guys, I'm putting it back together. That's a first for me. I'll give them some peppermints because they were loaded with beetles and the beetle traps. This is not a strong colony to get overrun, so I gotta be careful. On with the regular stuff. Hopefully everybody else looks normal, I can get done. Anyway, I went through several more. Everybody's looking good. The ones that I added singles to are growing up into them just like they should. Everybody's looking normal. I see one over there for sure it's gonna need to be split. And I know there's some more over here that are gonna need to be split, but right now, everybody's doing all right. They got some beetles in them, so I'm hoping the peppermint's driving them into the traps, Earl. I think that's the plan, is just to keep applying it, and we'll see. I'll try anything once for beetles. You deal with the beetles like I deal with them, you'll try anything once. This is basically, on average, what I'm looking at with bees. So far, most of them are looking about like this. Bottom box is about equal. Actually, this one's a little bit lighter, but yeah, what I'm seeing is another week worth, and we could probably split them. Although with this one, it might be pushing it. We'll probably could wait 3 weeks on this, but several of them are needing it, pretty soon. They're a little bit more full than this, because as I smoke them down, you can tell not a ton of them, but there's a good 6 good frames of bees. 8 is ideal. But, and this brood nest is really in the center. This brood nest is really right here. More so than full and full. So this one really could be pushed, but I'll probably split it anyway, just so I won't have to stress about it trying to swarm if I miss it or if I'm late on it. That one I know is full. That's our queen rare. I ain't even gonna bother with the one at the end this week, and I'm gonna check that one. All right, before the camera died, so we're off external mic and on battery pack now. I just wanted to show you what this colony looks like. So I'm flipping them up and see, I'm seeing good coverage on frames. 60–70% of the frames are covered. It is deceiving. They're not all the way out to each side. Because when you look at the bottom, you can tell it's not quite as populated. They're just bubbling to the top. But then you got this one, it's the top box, and it's looking pretty good too. So this is really, the top box is loaded. I checked for cells, and of course this is, you know, where I checked for cells, and I saw some cups, but nothing major. This is what I'm looking for at this time of year. This is good average. This is a week to 2 weeks out, and I can bust them wide open and split them, and we got good splits. Throw the queen cells in, and we're rocking and rolling. When they're further along than this, like about 3 or 4 that I have, then they become the ones that you sweat that you're going to lose them. They're great bees, but they're going so fast. So there you go. I haven't fed anything, no pollen pad. Again, I'm not advocating not feeding. I'm telling you me what I'm doing down here. I'm not feeding because these are at the pace I want them at. This is the pace I need them at for my schedule with work and weekends and vacations and all that good stuff. Of course, not many vacations in the spring. Vacations are off limits in the spring. Bees are what we're addicted to. All right, let me finish up. I got one more after this. That's what I'm checking for, just looking. I am going into some of them. The ones where I made space in the top, I'm kind of opening them up and seeing what they're doing with that space. Some are putting nectar in, some are using it for brood, some are doing both. That's all. And just kind of popping, looking for a frame or two, just double checking eggs, things like that, and that's it. Trying to go fast. It's been about a 3-hour trip so far through all the colonies, and I'm almost done. So it's a privilege to be able to be a beekeeper with God's creation. Well, there you go. I'm gonna wrap this thing up. All right, folks, I just got cleaned up. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Good day in the bees. We did 25 colonies, I guess. A couple of them I didn't go through. I knew they were weak, no reason to. What I was mainly looking for today was the presence of swarm cells or swarm cups, and some anything that, you know, would indicate to me that I needed to go ahead and split them now. I did not have that. I'm happy. I also wanted to see the coverage inside the entire nests. Were we up and down, bottom to top? I also wanted to see what went on in the boxes where I made space and where I added seconds. Did they go up? Some I seeded frames, and another one I didn't. The one I didn't, they didn't really move up, so I seeded a frame up there. The rest, one of them went up there and just boom, she's just going to town. So what's cool this year is they're all kind of trending about the same place right now. They're growing pretty well, and there's about 3 or 4 that are, you know, they could be split today, but they don't have cells yet, and I want to wait and put my queens in them. So I got about 6 or 8 splits to do next week when the cells are ready, and then we'll split again in another week or 2 after that, and then that'll be it. John at Hillco Bees, John Hill sent this, and this is the first time I've used one of these, and I tell you what, I like it. I like it a lot because I still like the traditional curve for a lot of things. And I still like popping my frames like that. It's just habit. What I started with, what I did for 8 years was use a normal one. The last 2 years I've used the other one. This one's a combo, and I like it. I like it a lot. Worked out real well, and I've got it broke in. It's got John's emblem on it. Thank you, John. Appreciate it. Hillco Bees, man, I'm telling you. I sat on the phone yesterday trying to call Man Lake about a treatment I wanted to order that's on sale. And they said call before you order to make sure they have a good shelf life for you when they send them to you. 35 minutes of being on hold yesterday at 4 o'clock And that's a joke. That's a joke, man. 35 minutes. Check out Hillco, Dogwood Valley, the one at the show. Check those guys out there. We're at Hive Alive, these smaller companies. They are giving us competitive prices and discounts, guys. I'm telling you, they're giving $100 free shipping. They're doing all that. Now they may not have the selection. You may still have to, and I'll still have to go to Man Lake. I did yesterday, but guys, check them out. Check them out. Anyway, and he's not paying me. He's not paying me. I just like his stuff. All right, well, that's it, guys. It was a pretty good day. That one, number 8, with the swarm cells that really don't think are swarm cells. I was stumped today on that one, and I guess next week we'll find out what that one does. Guys, I appreciate everybody watching. I hope you did enjoy the video. It's just normal inspections that we're doing this time of year. Hey, the bees are getting along really well. Looks like they're growing well. This bee is about to drive me nuts. He keeps banging into my, or she keeps banging into my head. But anyway, I sure do hope you liked the video. And it was a good day in the bees. It was quick, and we weren't sitting on top of a bunch of swarm cells. So I'm happy about that. This is Barry's Best Honey. I'm Mike, and I do bees. Y'all have a wonderful afternoon, and may God bless you. We'll see y'all later.